In the dead of winter, 1959, 9 young hikers ventured deep into the Ural Mountains of Soviet Russia. They were experienced, well-prepared, and determined to conquer the icy slopes of a peak the locals called Kolit, the Mountain of the Dead. What began as a promising expedition turned into one of history's most chilling unsolved mysteries. Weeks later, rescuers would find their tent ripped open from the inside, their belongings abandoned, and their bodies scattered across the snow in bizarre and horrifying conditions. Some had fractured skulls, crushed ribs, even missing eyes and a tongue. To this day, no one truly knows what happened that night. This is the story of the Dyatlov Pass Incident. The expedition was led by Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old engineering student known for his intelligence and discipline. Along with him were 8 other hikers, students and graduates, all in their 20s, skilled in survival and outdoor treks. These weren't amateurs. They had completed challenging expeditions before, and this trip was supposed to earn them the highest level of hiking certification in the Soviet Union. On January 23rd, they began their journey. Spirits were high. They kept detailed diaries and even carried cameras, capturing moments of laughter, music, and camaraderie. Their entries showed excitement and optimism. None of them could have imagined the fate awaiting them. As they trekked deeper into the mountains, the weather grew harsher. Temperatures plummeted below -25 degrees Celsius. On February 1st, they set up camp on the slope of Kolit, choosing an exposed area instead of moving into the nearby forest for shelter. It was a curious decision, one that still baffles experts today. That night, something unimaginable happened. When the hikers failed to return, families demanded answers. After several days of delay, search teams were dispatched. On February 26th, they found the group's tent. It was a haunting sight, the tent half buried in snow, slashed open from the inside. Inside lay the hikers' boots, coats, food, even money, everything they needed to survive. Yet the group had fled barefoot or in socks, some only in their underclothes, into the freezing wilderness. Following footprints, rescuers discovered the first bodies near the edge of a forest, just 1.5 kilometers from the tent. 2 men lay by the remains of a small fire, their hands burned, as if they had desperately tried to cling to life. Nearby, 3 more bodies were found, Dyatlov among them, positioned as though they were trying to crawl back toward the tent. It wasn't until 2 months later, after the snow thawed, that the remaining 4 hikers were uncovered in a ravine. Their condition shocked investigators. 1 had a fractured skull. 2 had shattered ribs and massive internal bleeding, injuries similar to a high-speed car crash. Yet their skin showed no external wounds. 1 young woman was missing her tongue. 2 were missing their eyes. The official Soviet investigation concluded vaguely. The hikers had died due to a compelling natural force. And with that, the files were sealed. For decades, the Dyatlov Pass incident has fueled speculation. Let's break down the leading theories. 1. Avalanche theory. The most common explanation is that a sudden avalanche struck the tent, forcing the hikers to cut their way out and flee. Hypothermia and injuries followed. But problems remain. Rescuers reported no clear signs of an avalanche. The slope was not steep, snow levels seemed stable, and the tent remained partially visible. Some injuries also don't align with typical avalanche trauma. 2. Military testing. The Cold War era was rife with secrecy. Some researchers believe the hikers stumbled into a secret Soviet military experiment, perhaps parachute mines, chemical weapons, or radiation tests. Supporting this theory, strange orange orbs were reported in the sky around the time of the incident. Several items of the hikers' clothing contained traces of radiation. Families also claimed Soviet authorities discouraged questions, hinting at a cover-up. 3. Infrasound theory. In the 2010s, researcher Donnie Eichar suggested a fascinating possibility: infrasound. Under rare wind conditions, mountain terrain can produce low-frequency sound waves that cause extreme panic, nausea, and disorientation. If true, the hikers may have experienced an overwhelming sense of dread, fleeing the tent in confusion. But this doesn't fully explain the physical injuries found later. 4. Indigenous attack. Another theory suggests the Mansi people, local reindeer herders, attacked the hikers for trespassing on sacred land. However, investigators found no signs of struggle or other footprints, making this unlikely. 5. Paranormal explanations. And then, there are theories that defy logic: UFO encounters, government experiments with aliens, even Yeti-like creatures. While evidence for these is thin, the bizarre injuries and secrecy surrounding the case leave room for speculation. Despite dozens of investigations, questions remain. Why did they slice open the tent from the inside instead of calmly unzipping it? How could some hikers walk kilometers through snow, barefoot, in sub-zero cold? What force could break ribs and skulls without leaving external wounds? And why did Soviet authorities shut down the case so abruptly? Even in 2019, Russian officials reopened the investigation. Their conclusion? Once again, avalanche. But many experts and families remain unconvinced. More than 60 years later, the Dyatlov Pass Incident continues to haunt imaginations. 9 young lives were lost in a mystery that blends the natural with the unexplainable. Perhaps the truth was buried long ago under Soviet secrecy. Or perhaps nature itself created conditions so rare, so brutal, that we still struggle to comprehend them. What really happened on that frozen mountain? Was it a natural disaster, a military cover-up, or something beyond our understanding? One thing is certain: on that night in 1959, on the slopes of the Mountain of the Dead, 9 hikers faced something that left the world with questions and no answers. What's your theory? Let me know in the comments below.